Well, let's get more on the situation in the Middle East at the moment. Delighted to say that joining us now is the former Foreign Secretary, David Owen. Lord Owen, very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. Do you think it's inevitable that in the coming days even, or weeks, that Iran will retaliate in a big way?
Not inevitable, but very high risk. I think the government have handled it well. We have relations with Iran. We have an embassy there, and we have been utilizing that. But before the Prime Minister spoke to the Iranians, he had a channel with all the 4 or 5 other countries. So we're using our strength of not acting by ourselves, but utilizing our own capacity because of having an embassy and having relations. And as far as possible, we should go on keeping our relations with Iran.
If Iran retaliates in a significant way, what is the risk from there of a full-scale war? Is that the moment that everything changes?
Well, I personally think that Israel would be extremely wise to hesitate and not go. Normal Israeli response is immediate. On this particular occasion, with what's happening in Gaza, and I think the fact that some Israeli policies have caused more than raising of eyebrows amongst their real friends and allies, they should be very careful about responding.
Is it fair to say, if we look back at the instance of the last year and a bit, that when Iran last responded in a big way, it gave Israel a moment to regain a bit of the PR internationally? Is that what you're getting at with this, or something else?
Well, what's dangerous about this is that both sides have indicated to the other that their nuclear weapons are this time not off the agenda, that they have taken action which indicates that the next attack could be on each other's nuclear weapons. That is very dangerous. Therefore, this crisis is, I think, in a funny way, more dangerous than some of the obvious fights that we've had before between Iran and Israel.
In terms of some kind of peace agreement, whether it's temporary ceasefire with specifics around Gaza or broader around the region, you've been involved in these talks across the Middle East. They're insanely complicated. Do you look at it now and think we're further away from any type of agreement than at any point in the last couple of decades, or not?
I think Gaza has changed everything. I think there was a great deal of goodwill for Israel throughout the world, and in many Arab countries, Muslim countries. Israel has lost a lot of that, not often publicly expressed, but privately well-regarded respect. And they've got to be very careful now. They have made some errors in their policy, and they need to watch very carefully. And the normal Israeli response, immediate retaliation, needs to be just put not on the shelf, but put in reserve.
Interesting.
It's very difficult, and I don't believe in telling other countries how to run their affairs, or particularly at times of war. But so far, I think the diplomacy of the Western powers, the United States, Biden is still president, consulting, and in this particular case, using the new Prime Minister in Britain rather cleverly to speak for the others, a new voice.
Not to do a sort of history lesson here, but I'm interested, because we're talking so much about Iran today. You were Foreign Secretary during the Iranian Revolution. We always talk, particularly in the US, about Iran being, the malign actor in all of this. Can we draw a direct line back to that moment in time, or is that exaggerating and overplaying the extent to which Iran is the cause?
I think we should be careful about blaming Iran solely, and I don't think we should harbor resentment because of past disagreements. I'm a strong believer in Iran and the Iranian people. I think it's a great country, and I think we have to treat it at all times with the respect that then usually gets a good response from Iran. We made our mistakes in the past, Mossadegh, a democratically elected leader, we removed many years ago, but we did so. And it was a mistake, and we should be open about it. And we have sometimes used the oil weapon too ruthlessly for our advantage and not sometimes but taking enough account of the overall needs of the Iranian economy. But there is a good deal of respect for Iran still around the world in most of the major countries, and we shouldn't dissipate it.
Switching focus, we're running out of time, but Russia and Ukraine, the incursion by Ukraine into Russian territory, how much of a game changer is that to this conflict?
It could be a big game changer, but it is certainly one indication that the president of Ukraine is taking his own decisions, and he no longer feels, and I think rightly, tied down in how he responds to Russia. I think this is potentially a game changer, and I think we have to watch it very carefully, but we are not running Ukrainians' foreign policy or its defense policy. We are helping them with arms. That is all we do. We are not a decision maker, and we must let them make decisions which might be uncomfortable for us. We are not there, and Russia knows that. We are not making the decisions. And this is a very clear manifestation. The president of the country is intent on making his own decisions, and rightly so.
Will Ukraine be hoping that Kamala Harris wins and Israel hoping that Donald Trump wins?
I doubt Ukraine is into that. They'll take up whoever comes. I know Trump has made some strange statements about what he will do immediately. Trump actually, in government, was a lot more cautious than people think. I don't believe that the American election is a dramatic changer. There's an underlying... Trump showed a respect for the military. Not many other people, but he did respect the military. And I think that would continue if he was to become president again.
David, it's always a pleasure to catch up. Thanks so much for stopping by. Good to see you.
Pleasure.
Lord Owen, the former Foreign Secretary.